Put that cookie down! Who's that impression of? That's right, Joe Biden. Today's video, we're going over 15 things I was wrong about. It's more than 15 things. I think it's like 17 or 18, but it's kind of an odd number, isn't it? 15 is an odd number, 18 is an even number, but it's an odd, even number. You're with me. So, I've been a lifter for 13 years. I feel like I say this in every video, but I've been lifting a very long time. And I think it's a good thing to acknowledge that you were wrong about stuff, because it shows that you're evolving, you're learning, and that should be happening as you progress in any endeavor in life, whatever you're doing. Lifting is like my main thing. I love it. I always have, still do. I'm more passionate about it today than I ever was before. So I've been wrong about a lot, and I think it's important to acknowledge the things that we've been wrong about, especially today when nearly everything on social media pisses me off. The worst of the worst people posting, and they're so sure about themselves, they speak in absolutes and extremes.
Whoop.
Anything really ever black and white? Sometimes it is, but a lot of the time it isn't. There's more nuance that needs to be applied to a situation, and certainly more context that needs to be applied. A lot of these guys piss me off, and I would love for them to come out and hold their hand up and say, do you know what, I was wrong about that, or I should admit that I was doing this when I said this, yada, yada, yada. And you know what I thought? Be the change you want to see. So with all that being said, let's get to the video. I'm actually impressed. I took a day off jiu-jitsu today to do this, to sit down, think about what I was wrong about, write down my points, and here I am in the gym 15 minutes before my clients start this evening. Let's go. So y'all better appreciate this. So here's 15 things I was wrong about, probably more than 15, related to fitness. Number one, I thought I was going to have small arms forever. What I mean by this is I've never struggled to grow my torso or my legs. However, my arms were always a motherfucker to grow. And I thought, do you know what, that's just my genetics. And it kind of was, but it wasn't solely down to genetics either. I've trained long enough to know that my torso responds to a lot of the upper body movements I do. So if I'm doing a bench press or dips, I'm going to feel that shit in my chest. And my chest is a pretty big and pretty strong body part for myself. However, there's people out there who'll do a bench press, perform it the exact same way as me, but they might feel it all in their triceps. They might do dips and feel it all in their triceps. So that is sort of genetics in a way. Some people are just predisposed to either feel their arms a little bit more or feel their torso a little bit more throughout upper body movements. So I think I'm just a more torso dominant individual. Now, with that being said, my arms in the last 2 years have grown, and that is down to the way I've been training them and actually being in a surplus of calories, giving my body enough resources to grow muscle tissue, and they have grown. So I used to always place arms at the end of my upper body workout. It's simply not enough if you're a torso dominant individual. So for someone who actually struggles to grow their arms, me, I need to dedicate more time and effort to arms. So I gave them their own day, and I trained them more often, and I train them harder, and I aim to progress them like I do progress in my main lifts, such as the bench press. So my arms have grown, and since doing that and making those changes to my training, but also being in a surplus of calories, it's obviously a more harmonious environment for my It's a better environment for my arms to be in, where I'm training them hard and properly fueling them. So that's the first thing I was wrong about. Small arms forever? Nope, not anymore. They're less small now. Number two, you need to progress every week. No, you do not. You do not need to progress every week. This will happen for beginners. You will see linear progression almost session to session, but as you progress in your training, that will just not happen. You should expect to come into the gym and do your best, but sometimes you just won't. Your best won't be better than the previous numbers you put up, and sometimes you might be stuck there for a while. And if you think about it, if you're lifting a weight one week and it's very challenging for you, it's still going to be challenging the following week, and it's probably still going to be challenging the week after that. So you might just need to fight harder for progression, but it's okay if you don't progress in numbers week to week. Try to do it, but it won't always happen, and be okay with that. Number 3, only lifting with high reps. In the last 2 to 3 years, I've been lifting with substantially lower reps, like as low as 3. And I never would have trained that way. I always would have kept my reps low. To me, would have been 8 reps when I was younger. But now I'm training with 2, 3, 4, 5 reps. I'm training in that low rep range, and I'm seeing growth from it. I'm actually seeing great strength gains, but I'm also seeing great muscle growth from it. And I think why training with lower reps is fantastic for a natural lifter is because it helps you to drive progression. If you're lifting with lower numbers, you're probably more focused on increasing your performance in the gym or your performance with whatever lift you're doing. And as a natural lifter especially, that is important. So higher reps are good too, but so are lower reps. And maybe one works better for one person than it does for another compared to another person. But an approach I like to take with myself and with my clients is to use both. Utilize both lower and higher rep ranges. And doesn't that make sense? Doesn't that tell you that you're kind of covering your basis in terms of the rep range at least? Cardio makes you small. This was very silly of me, but throughout my teens and early 20s, I would drive by people who were running and I would laugh at them. I'd be like, why aren't you in the gym? Like such a bro. Now, I was wrong, but now I see people who are running, doing any form of cardio and going hard. I'm like, mad respect, because that shit is hard. And I took up running last year. I was going for a run every week. When I say I took up running last year, I just was going for a run every week out on the road. And I even managed my first 10K, and I did it at actually a really good pace and didn't stop. And running, cardio and running, extremely tough. I think it's way tougher than lifting weights, to be honest. And it's good for your mentality, and I think it's great for your fitness, obviously, and it's great for your cardiovascular health, but it's very good for your mentality. I think it makes you a better, more resilient person. Cardio definitely doesn't make you small. If you prioritize only cardio and, let's say, running, people think cardio makes you small because they look at runners and runners are small people. But like runners literally just focus on running. So if you run and lift weights and eat enough food, you're not going to be small. You're going to be well-rounded. You're going to be strong. You're going to be fit and healthy. So that was very silly of me, and I was very wrong about that. I thought calories and protein were the only thing that mattered. I think if you really care about being as jacked as you possibly can, then you will focus on having a balanced diet and eating healthier foods, because if you're eating crap all the time, you're probably going to have, your inflammation is going to be very high. You're going to struggle to recover. You're more likely to overeat if you're constantly eating junk food or more processed food than you are eating whole foods or single ingredient foods. And if you focus on eating healthy, you're probably going to have a stronger immune system, which means you're less likely to get sick, because if you get sick, then you have to take time off training or your training sessions will be subpar. Calories and protein, very important, but also focus on eating foods that give you a lot of micronutrients, a lot of fiber. Focus on eating your lean proteins and you'll get better results. I thought that only 2 sets for muscle growth was enough. Now, where this stemmed from is when I first started out lifting, I was doing way too much in the gym. And it worked until it didn't. And I made the switching to top and back off sets, where you perform 2 sets, one heavier set with a rep range of, let's say, 6 to 8, and then another set where it's lighter and you're performing like 12 to 15 plus reps. So you're essentially taking those 2 reps to failure. It was extremely beneficial for me, and I seen a lot of progress from it. Why? Because it taught me how to train hard. It taught me how to actually push close to failure and train to failure and know what failure is. Now, even though I've seen great results and that's all well and good, volume and doing more work is still a key driver of muscle growth. So if you pair training with high intensity and going to failure with more volume, with more work, you're going to see better results. And I've seen that since doing this bulk, since I've increased my calories and increased my volume, I'm seeing gains that I thought were never even possible. This is like a useful one to bring up because I'm seeing this style of training get popular with a lot of people, but to be honest, a lot of people aren't doing it right. If you're going to do this, you need to train pretty much to failure. And I think it's an excuse for lazy people to just do 2 sets. Not having other hobbies outside of lifting weights. Again, this is something I was guilty of when I was younger. I didn't see the point. I loved being in the gym. I was in the gym 5-6 days a week, but that gets very boring. You're not a very fun person to be around. You're very one-dimensional. And lifting weights is something I'm really good at, and I've been doing it for a long time. And it's cool to be good at something, but you know what? It's also cool being a beginner and have a beginner's mindset with something. So, for example, I took up other hobbies, one of those hobbies being jiu-jitsu. And how humbling it is to be a beginner again, be the bottom of the totem pole, even though you're a big dude as well. Just because you're a big dude doesn't mean you're tough. And I can back that up by saying I've been tapped out many times by different women. And I've no shame in saying that. Some of these birds, absolute killers. They know what they're at. And yeah, it's fun having hobbies outside of lifting. And plus, you can love lifting and you can see great results from it, but there will come periods of your life where you'll be less interested in it, and it's nice to have something outside of that where you can focus on that a bit more, and plus it's physical activity, so it's how keeping you in shape. Yeah, there's just a lot of pluses to having hobbies outside of lifting. I strongly encourage you to venture out, expand your horizons, and try something new. There's a butterfly trying to get out, so I'm going to grab that and let him out. He's really distracting me, or she. Sleep. Now, I've known the importance of high quality sleep for a number of years now. However, when I was younger, I looked past it. I didn't really think much of having a good sleep. And I seen how much good sleep affected me for the first time in my life when I quit my factory job where I was working nights on the weekends and moved in with Keane Brennan, my good friend. He, at the time, we gave him the nickname The Monk because he was so regimented, and when I moved in with him, I was going to bed at 9 p.m. every night, and wow, the progress I seen in my physique, I gained more muscle and was a lot leaner from just improving my sleep. It's very important. So that was something I was wrong about some years ago, but something I hold of high importance for myself and my clients if you're serious about seeing results. Technique, good technique, so important. If I compare my lifting now to when I was younger, I'm lifting more weights now and my body feels amazing. I'm rarely ever injured. But when I was younger, injuries all the time. I wasn't as big as I was now. And I put that down to good technique, lifting with a full range of motion, controlling the load, moving deliberately and with intent, understanding the movement. Don't focus on technique above all else. Like, focus on progressing in the gym, focus on training hard and pushing close to failure, and train it so hard that you feel the weight you're lifting in your bones. Like, it should be tough. And I think nowadays I'm seeing a lot of the opposite. I'm seeing people really prioritizing their technique but not training hard enough. Look, training with good technique is important, and it's important at the start of any plan because you want to learn the movement. But once you have the movement down, you understand it, it's time to start pushing and training hard. Sometimes your technique will suffer, okay? But don't focus on your technique above all else. There's a fine line, and don't be the person throwing weights around and flailing weights around. You won't make much progress and your body will hurt. And also depends what we're talking about. If we're talking purely hypertrophy, I think technique, you need to have good technique, but you really need to focus on progressing if you're a natural athlete. But if you're a power lifter or an Olympic weightlifter, then technique is extremely important. You need to have your technique down. And I can speak to this from trying to increase my bench press. I set myself the goal of getting a 170 kilo bench press at the start of the year. When my bench press max was 150 kilos, it's now 160. We're going in the right direction. And I've really seen the importance of technique when it comes to my bench press. If I didn't work on my technique, I don't think I would have benched 160, at least not yet, or ever. So it depends what we're talking about as well. But generally, focus on your technique, lift with a full range of motion, control the loads, and still focus on progressing. What's possible naturally? I was wrong about what I thought you could obtain naturally. I would have looked at my body only a year or two ago and thought, okay, this is it. This is what I can achieve. How wrong I was. I think 95% of the Earth's population, maybe even more, are nowhere near their natural potential when it comes to, muscle mass and what you can lift inside the gym. We are nowhere near it. None of us. There's a few who probably are, but like a few. None of us are close to or what's possible naturally, which is great, which is unreal. And again, this bulk has really shown me that. I'm 98 kilos, I'm relatively lean, I'm strong as hell, I'm lifting weights I never thought possible. Like I just said, I bench 160 kilos. Wow.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Shut up! Whoa, 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 Uzbekistan! Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I'm shoulder pressing 50 kilo dumbbells with great technique. Got 7 reps there 2 weeks ago. I didn't think that was possible. Don't be so quick to think that you've peaked. You haven't, okay? Do an audit of your training, your lifestyle. When's the last time you did a bulk? And was it a proper bulk? Did you give it enough time? Trust me, you're probably capable of more. Focusing on the wrong type of supplements. Now, supplements should not be the focus of anyone's plan. However, I do take supplements every day and I stand by how important they are for me making progress, staying jacked, staying healthy. It's just I now focus on different supplements compared to when I was younger. When I was younger, I was focusing on pre-workouts, amino acids, stuff like that, and they're largely a waste of money. They really are. They're not going to give you, they're not going to do jack shit for you. Whereas now the supplement stack I have where I take every day, it's more like health supplements. So like zinc, magnesium, ashwagandha, vitamin D, fish oil. Those are my staples. I take them every day and I stand by them. Now, this is not advice from me. If you want to take supplements, go do your own research. But these supplements definitely help keep me healthy, keep me from being sick, and keep me jacked. Because if I can stay healthy and not be sick, that means I have more time to spend training and going hard. Whereas if I'm sick, then I can't train, which means I'm less jacked. Focusing on the pump too much. This hindered my progress and hurt how I looked when I was competing when I was around 18, 19, 20. When I was competing back then, I was focused on chasing the pump. And that's a great way to stay small. If you're focused on the pump, you really will stay small. You need to focus on getting stronger, progressing, training hard. And ironically, I get great pumps now, probably better than before, from really lifting heavy and making sure it's heavy, but it's also accurate. Accurate in the sense that I'm hitting the muscles I want to hit. So if you train heavy and train with good technique and push close to failure, you'll get a great pump. The importance of a coach, a good coach. As of right now, I'm actually working with a coach. I'm working with TJ Pain Free. He is helping me in my goal to bench press 170. He has been invaluable to me. I don't think I'd get to 160 without him. I don't think I would. If there's any chance of me getting bench 170, it wouldn't be possible without him. Including TJ, I've had 3 coaches and 2 out of 3 of them were great. Now, the other coach who wasn't that great provided valuable insights to me as a lifter and a coach. I'm a coach myself and I learned what I didn't want to be as a coach. But the 2 coaches I worked with who were phenomenal, they really brought me on. They really did. If you want to get the best results possible and you want to get it faster and you value your time, then having a coach, very important. Training through pain. This is something when I was younger I used to do because I'm a meathead. I'd like to think I'm just more of a civilized meathead as I've gotten older. And if I feel that something's off, doesn't feel 100% right, then I will adjust things. For example, I said earlier, I'm never injured. A couple of weeks ago, I was getting a little bit of tennis elbow, like tendonitis in my elbow, feeling a little bit of pain. I started getting really strong on my dumbbell skull crushers. And I was going into my session on Wednesday and my elbow on my right side was very sore. I thought it was the skull crushers. I was doing them first in my session. So I made a swap. I did them second in my session. So I did a bicep tricep exercise before that, which meant my arms were a bit more fatigued, which meant I couldn't lift as heavy. So I'm now lifting like 25 kilo dumbbells on the skull crushers, but no more elbow pain. So if there is pain somewhere, I'll address it. That pain came for about a week or 2. I got rid of it after a week. Your metabolism cannot be damaged. So I used to think there was starvation mode, that your metabolism could be permanently damaged. That's not the case. Our body just adapts to whatever we're doing. So if you're in a fat loss phase, let's say you started losing weight and you're no longer losing weight, if you haven't adjusted your calories, that might be the reason why. Like let's say you're 80 kilos and you set your calories to 2,000 calories and you're now 72, you lost weight and now you're 72 kilos. and now you're no longer losing weight in 2,000 calories? Well, it could be that you're just a smaller person and your energy demands have changed. Your body also adapts in different ways in that it sees that there's less energy coming in, so it will do things to preserve energy, like reduce your unconscious movement, otherwise known as your NEAT. You just have less energy, so you're not training as hard, so therefore you're not burning as many calories from your training sessions. So our body just adapts to what we're doing. Your metabolism doesn't get permanently damaged, which is great news.
How about that? That's good, huh?
It's not good for me.
We're almost there. I think I'm flying it. I have 15 minutes before my client comes in, and I still need to get my calories in before he does. This is a saucy one. Following the advice of enhanced lifters, people who take steroids. This is case by case, because there's people out there who take steroids who know what they're talking about. Is that the majority of people who take steroids? Definitely not. The advice you get from an enhanced lifter just doesn't apply to someone who doesn't take steroids. And I can speak to this. My first coach, he took steroids, and on my program, my training program, he gave me way too many exercises, way too much. You can't progress and lift with a lot of intensity if there's 20 exercises on your plan with 3-4 sets per exercise. It's way too much. Now, someone who's taking steroids, they can recover faster and do all that work, but a natural lifter cannot. But like I said, it's case by case. There's definitely people out there who are on steroids, who know what they're talking about. But if there's someone out there who's natural and has built an impressive physique, you can bet your ass this dude or this girl knows what they're talking about, because it's a really hard thing to do. The importance of good programming. So I would have always followed a linear style of progression, which works until it doesn't. And then what do you do? And by linear style of progression, I mean where you constantly increase the weight and decrease the reps and sets. It's a very effective style of programming. However, if it gets you so far and you plateau, what do you do then? So I recently upgraded my knowledge on programming, and I did that by doing the course by Mark and Glenn Carroll on program design. Phenomenal course, and I've seen the progress from myself and my clients skyrocket, accelerate. We're all getting way better results because of the knowledge I've gained from program design. So just different methods, different styles. It's fantastic. It was something I was really wrong about, and I was letting myself down for years. Last one, just training like a bodybuilder. So I love bodybuilding. If someone was to ask me which style of training I do in the gym, I would say I train like a bodybuilder. However, I used to only train, with machines, do the movements you would expect. But in the last 2 years, I've kind of taken bits from strongmen, powerlifters, calisthenics. I've taken what I've liked from that training and used that. I've mixed that up in my training as well. So I'm doing machines, barbells, dumbbells, bodyweight movements, training like a powerlifter, doing some kind of like strongman type stuff, and it's great. I've built a better physique, and the physique I've built, I feel, is just more capable. I feel like from mixing up everything, I'm just a more well-rounded lifter and stronger as a whole. And something I've actually noticed in jiu-jitsu, I've gotten this comment a lot, is people saying they're surprised at how flexible I am for such a big guy. And I think that's down to lifting with good technique and full range of motion, but also just being willing to put my body in funny positions that I've learned from different styles of training. So incorporating different styles, not being very one-dimensional with your training, has been a massive plus for me. It's more fun, and I'm definitely stronger and more jacked because of it. So I'm not sure how many that was in the video. I'll have counted when I'm editing this. Might be like more than 15, might be 17, 18. They're some of the things I was wrong about in my lifting career. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hear people coming in. We nailed it. See you in the next video. I'm not sure when it'll be. I'm very busy. I would like to be pumping out more content, but it's just not realistic. Until next time, thanks for watching.